Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with Secure Team. So I've got something very strange and mysterious that I want to share with you guys today, and it comes from a place right down here on Earth, a place that we have spoken about many times before due to its mysterious nature, all of the unexplained things surrounding this area on Earth. The place I'm talking about is the ever mystifying continent of Antarctica, which, if you followed the channel, you'll know is literally cluttered with strange, anomalous phenomena. Entrances to caves in the middle of nowhere that are shaped like triangles or disc-shaped craft, to unexplained vibrations and magnetic anomalies underneath the ice that seem to manipulate and warp gravity when satellites fly by this continent. And so first, here we want to start with the main finding of today, and we're on Google Earth, and we're going to go ahead and zoom deep down into the middle of Antarctica. This is in the middle of nowhere, by the way, where this was found, and amongst the frozen hills and pretty flat area where this is located, we find what looks to be almost like a crater you would see on the moon, with what appears to be a triangular object that looks as if it is or was constructed by something. So here we are, you can probably already see it. We see this sort of mound or crater, and then plain as day, we see this very sharp triangular object sitting dead center of the object, almost like the object landed and blew out this crater. And you can see the shadow of the object being cast back down onto the frozen ground. So as you can see here, I'm kind of scrolling around the surrounding landscape. There's nothing else around here that looks like this. It's either barren land, flat, we have some mountains, but nothing that looks like this, just sitting in the middle of nowhere. It looks like your typical V-shaped UFO that we have seen so many times before. And when I saw this, it reminded me of a couple of different findings in which we have discovered triangular-shaped structures or craft or whatever you want to call them found on places such as the moon and Mars. So I was instantly reminded of this, which I posted after discovering about 4 years ago on the channel another triangular-like object, very similar in shape to what we're seeing in Antarctica here, and you're seeing that. So this is the moon here, and this image was captured by one of the many reconnaissance orbiter satellites currently making their way around the planet, mapping it, hence the name reconnaissance. We are doing reconnaissance on the moon. And you'll see in this crater is another V-shaped object that I'll go ahead and zoom in and kind of crop out here, but you can see it circled here, sitting down in this crater, sort of blending in, looks metallic, it's got light glinting off of it. Here's a close-up shot of the object, a little pixelated, but nonetheless, you can see the perfect triangle. We also have findings of partially buried triangular objects, such as these found on the planet Mars. Here is the first here. Very detailed and very sharp-edged triangular V-shaped object that looks to be partially buried in the Martian surface. And yet again, on the planet Mars, another V-shaped object which looks to have more curved corners than pointed corners, and we've seen both in UFO sighting videos here on Earth. Some will have very sharp corners, others will be curved around the edges, and you can see it here where it's basically just sort of sticking out, coming up out of the ground. You can see the shadow of the edge of it. And here is another couple of images snapped by astronauts themselves up in the space shuttle of these TR-3Bs, or black triangles, whatever you want to call them, out the window here, cruising along high above the Earth's atmosphere, and they managed to snap a couple of images of this thing. And speaking of other cover-ups, I'd like to show you a clip today of yet another example of NASA cutting the live feed after a UFO appears while one of the astronauts is out doing a spacewalk and just doing some work on the International Space Station. Now you'll notice here that for a good portion of the video, there's no UFO. The UFO appears just above the Earth's horizon line. And I want you guys to notice that up until the UFO appears, the video feed is pretty stable. But I want you guys to watch here that right as the UFO appears, you'll notice the live feed starting to get more and more interference until the point where they finally decide to just cut it and go to the famous blue screen that we're all familiar with. So here's the point where the UFO actually comes into view, and you'll notice the interference in the video feed ramping up. And then, finally, the feed cut, which, oddly enough, coincidentally, happens right as the UFO comes into view, and they know that either the astronaut doesn't see it, or there's a delay in communication, so finally, they end up cutting the feed. And here, a few seconds later, because they can't leave the feed down for too long, because then people will know they're trying to hide something, you'll notice an obvious change in what the astronaut is doing, and how he is now panning the camera away from the object and back towards the ISS where you can no longer see it. So, I mean, this is just every time one of these UFOs appear, we would normally see this blue screen. They're watching the feed. We know that they cut it, but it seems that they're now implementing this sort of interference with the camera that kind of makes it look less of an intended feed cut. And I guess it's just to make it look more natural before the feed is actually cut. So they introduce some interference here, make it look like a camera issue. But you watch the whole 3 or 4 minute clip, and right as the UFO appears, we start getting this interference before the camera suddenly and mysteriously goes down. So something was caught hovering in space here, watching the ISS, watching the astronaut, or just doing something else. We don't know, but we know that they saw it, and, well, add it to the list of the hundreds, if not thousands, of other strange objects seen in the distance while the astronauts are out working above Earth in space. So tell me what you guys think. And lastly today, we have another very intriguing piece of footage, this time of something that would seem to be hovering in the distance above Lake Erie. And I swear I've seen this footage before, or something very similar to it, and I'm trying to hunt down that original video, but I've posted a video showing something very similar to this, where it would appear we have a massive sort of cigar-shaped object hovering in the water in the distance. I don't know what this is. Is this a mirage? Is it a ship of some sort? The footage shows a mysterious black figure hovering over Lake Erie, which stretches across both the Canadian province of Ontario and 3 U.S. states. It appears to be an elongated shape and seems to be flying over the water. There is also a reflection underneath the object. Now, some are speculating that this could be a U.S. Navy submarine surfacing, but many are doubting that because, well, the object, it looks like it's floating. And lastly today, what do you guys think? Mirage? UFO? It reminds me of these images taken from back in the 1970s of another massive cigar-shaped craft caught sitting this time above the ocean, along with some other very just totally mind-boggling images snapped from a U.S. Navy vessel who is out in the ocean, where it looks as if several different kinds and shapes of UFOs were captured moving up and in and out of the water that day. There's a news story on a website called The Black Vault who did an amazing story about those particular photos, and I'll find it and I'll put the link to it down below. So what do you guys think on this Lake Michigan sighting? Put it down below. And with that today, guys, I hope that you'll subscribe, follow me on all of my social media accounts. They're all in the video description. And if you have UFO footage of your own, don't hesitate to email it to me, secureteamnews@gmail.com. You guys have a great night. Stay tuned, stay safe, and I'll see you in just a bit.